Hey, it's Shane Rice, Niall Cregan, and Niall's been working on some SEO campaign metrics, and I'm going to let him take it away and just share screen and go through what he's been working on.
Okay, so you can see the dashboard there, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically we're trying to identify a means of tracking keyword progress that's outside of just looking at seed keyword terms. So the initial dashboard we set up was based on the core 25 terms that were targeted at the start of the year. So what this does is it takes the core 25 terms that we were targeting and we can input our competitors, and it tracks us based on the share of voice we own in comparison to them. And how it does this is it calculates on the average position for all your keywords and then cross-references that with the average click-through rate based on those positions in search, and then gives you an average across the board. The benefits of this against tracking just individual keyword terms is obviously it's far more in depth because it allows us to do a drill down into the different keywords that we're tracking within a campaign. So for example, if we're looking at the CI use case campaign, we can track the CI keywords overall within a larger group, which I'll go over now in a couple of seconds. And it allows us to tag individual keyword terms within the listings by campaign tags if we want to, so then we can drill down into them individually. So before I go look at just the test model and then with the CI campaign, which isn't entirely finished yet, it needs to be tweaked a little bit, but we'll just look at the CI or the initial 25 keyword terms because this has been running much longer, so it's got better metrics. So initially we have what's called the landscape dashboard, which gives us the visibility, estimated traffic, and average position for grouped keywords. So it also breaks down the keywords by positioning and also ranking distribution over a period of time. It allows us to do a drill down, obviously the same as we'd have in Google Analytics and such, by specific timeframes.
Hey, Niall.
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and change this to last month just to give us a view of what like a month long period might look like?
Yeah. So this is the previous 30 days distribution then.
And then while we're looking at this estimated traffic, can you hover over the info there just to kind of give us an idea of what that 97.31 means?
So that's the estimation is based on the average click-through rate of each position. So as I was saying there, it means like obviously if you're in position 1 to 3, you're going to get the highest click-through rate, and there is a percentage click-through rate on average which is associated with each one of those. So what it does is it takes your average positioning for your keywords, for each one of those keywords, and calculates what they would estimate your click-through rate based on the traffic for those keywords as well, and then compiles them into giving you what would be your overall estimated traffic.
So this is, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understand. So this is saying like on our daily average is we get 97.31 clicks is what they're estimating. Was that what that's saying?
So what it says is an estimation based on the average click-through rate of each position in Google's results multiplied by the volume of keywords in the number of days from it. So it's the probability that a user will click on a domain search result depending on this domain's position in SERP. So I suppose, so it's an indicator of the rate of click-through rate you should get based on your average position. So
I'm just curious why it's not a percentage like where visibility is. You know what I mean? Like that's what threw me off when I was looking at it, is trying to understand if it was a percentage or a raw number, or because like average position is obviously like telling us where.
What your average search position is. And at least visibility then is giving you percentage rate as well. So I suppose there's a kind of a little bit of a lack of clarity there in relation to the stat. But I'll verify that. I'll go back into it because there is manual and data with it that comes with the tool, so I can actually look and just specify and make sure of that.
Can you scroll down again?
Yep.
Okay, so that also, I like this, that it shows the positive and negative impact by keyword and how that's affecting the numbers above. I think the competitor analysis is interesting. Although I think the fact that we are only looking at 25 keywords probably doesn't give us a lot of depth there. What do you think?
No, obviously this is as I was saying, this one that I set up was initially just set up when I was onboarded because we'd done the 25 core terms. I set up another one today, which I'll go into now in a second. And what that does is it's just focused on CI. So obviously the larger group of keywords you can track, the better off you are, because the more dependable your stats are going to be on ownership. So we'll go into that one now in one sec. Obviously the reason I just want to go through this one first is because it's accumulated more stats because it's been running longer.
Yep.
So I'll just go through the other elements of the report and how useful it can be. So it gives us an overview report, and what this does is gives us our trend lines based on our chosen competitors. We can choose up to 5 based on whatever the terms or whoever's directly competing with us in those term areas, and also gives us their positioning. So what we can do is if we've lost positions or if we want to analyze a campaign or do a drill down, we can actually see where we've lost positions against competitors. So it allows us to try and justify whether the loss is based on an algorithm update, whether it's competing content, or any of those. So that'll allow us then to deconstruct and try and find or formulate a response to try and improve that positioning. It can break it down by estimated traffic visibility, and then you can look at all the keywords for the specific term if you want. It also gives us an overview of the ranking distribution, which can be just gives us a quick view of where we are positioning based on the top 3, top 10, top 20, etc. What really useful is, especially for the content team, would be the pages, because it gives us the URLs that are ranking and the specific keywords ranking for those pages. And that's just an example of some of the tags. I just put some example tags on there. And where they are against our competitors if you want to look at them. So once again, that allows us to really kind of take a micro view on what needs to be done on certain pages for optimizations within a campaign and stuff like that, which can be useful for activity. Another tool that's come in is the cannibalization tool. I know we were just looking at, it's an issue that's come up a lot. This is only a beta test at the moment, so this could be interesting actually moving forward. So it only popped on there last week, so it's something I'm just kind of currently taking a look at. So for this is fine, but there's different stats for obviously the one I just input today. But so that can quickly identify keywords, either keywords or pages that we're having issues with, which could help us with optimization. And the other then is just the competitor discovery, who your main competitors are going to be for those keywords you're looking at. Device and locations has to be set up with something set up. And then it's featured snippets. So in relation to where you're competing with your competitors for those specific terms and who has the featured snippets within search for that.
Gotcha.
So
So looking at this, Niall, I guess my question is, so we do a monthly metrics report, and that's one slide, right, where we talk about SEO, like keyword ranking specifically is what we look at right now. So if we were going to replace that, because what it does right now is just says, here's the keyword, here's the estimated monthly volume of this keyword, here's our position over the last 30 days on our average position over the last 30 days, and here's how much traffic we've generated to the pages associated with these keywords. What do you see from this that you think would be an upgrade to that SEO slide?
I think that comes into play when we're starting doing what we're doing now, which is the use case projects or individual element projects. So, for example, I'm sure that those who are involved with the rollout, etc., and obviously they're going to be ongoing and built out over time, because that kind of aligns with the content clustering strategy, where it's additional content is built into specific campaigns to improve positioning and competition over time. So, for example, this is the one I was just setting up today. So obviously it's only got the metrics for today, so it hasn't accumulated much, but this is just based on the CI terms. So what I did was I took the top ranking on, I think, position 1 to 20 CI terms that we already have, and exported them and then imported them into the tracker here. So we can see the visibility is actually extremely high compared to the competitors that were provided for this this specific campaign. So what it allows us to do outside of just looking at the overall CI. So one of the things we're doing is looking at campaign within CI, which would be the CI use case. So for example, it allows us to use the tag system, which means we can just say CI use case, click on that, apply. Now the data for this obviously hasn't accrued because the CI use case is only launched, but I'm just using the keywords as an example. Mm-hmm. So here's the key terms that we are targeting within the CI use case. So over time, once it launches and they start accumulating traffic, they will start providing information based just on that. But it allows us to see where we would be competing against our competitors for those within that campaign terminology, which we can see here. And that will obviously the trend lines will build up. But it also allows us to look at the pages. So it'll eventually start tracking the individual URLs and give us the data we need to optimize that. But from a reporting perspective, it means because you can connect this through the Google Data Studio, you could actually create a report dashboard that not just gives you your overall view on whatever the core 25 terms, what they're doing now, but you could create a page with a segment for each use case campaign, which could give you a report on those performance individually if you wanted to.
Okay. Yeah, and then on the keywords on this, can you go to the keywords there?
Yeah.
No, just the list, just the whole list, not the use case list.
Yeah. So I just
That's fine. Okay, yeah, I think let's be sure on this to add a branded label to anything that has our brand in it, just so we can separate that out and exclude it if we need to.
yeah.
Just thinking about the fact that we're, because it's our brand and we know that our brand is going to be like right up there. We're going to be competing with Docs. Is about the only other thing we compete with when it comes to brand, when it's GitLab CI or something like that. I'd like to make sure we're as much as possible looking at other, well, not other, but like that's just called out specifically, that we can separate branded and non-branded to say like here's where we're at, basically.
Well, what we could do is we can actually remove any branded terms from the overall tracking altogether, if that would be handier. Because I think I've actually set up a board for the GitLab branded terms already. It's tracking them individually. So
I think it's important to include branded just so we get a sense of how valuable that is, right? But I also want to be able to say like, hey, here's here's the branded stuff, and we don't really have to compete too hard for that. But here's the competitive stuff, and here's where we are doing in the competitive arena where our brand is not centered. I think that would be helpful just to kind of track our progress over time. I mean, I'm looking at these, and like I know they're not super high volume, but like we are doing really well for some of these like longer tail why CI/CD is important, those kind of things that you specifically targeted. And I think that's super exciting, and I want to make sure we're highlighting that along with and that way we can answer the question, well, how much of this is powered by the GitLab brand, and how much of this is powered by strategy and improvements we're making to about.gitlab.com.
Yeah, one of the things I did when I was setting this up, actually, when I was exporting the keywords, was I actually filtered out a lot of the branded terms. But the reason behind that is because I think we have a limit on the amount of terms we can pretty much track. So if we were building up a lot of campaigns over time, because this is just one, it would be a fairly extensive number of keywords. So I think the branded terms was probably the heaviest volume when I was filtering them down. So I'm not sure what the impact would be trying to track them all through all campaigns. It could be very top heavy with branded terms.
Yep. I agree with that. I think it's fine to exclude the ones you've already excluded. I think 140, I mean, I think that's probably anything more than that per campaign would be, I don't know how useful that would be. I mean, I think 140 is pretty much kind of at the edge of where we're actually strategically planning out those keywords, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this is great. I'm excited to see what this looks like over time. Realistically, I think it's probably going to be August before we can use this in our reporting, just because we need a full 30 days. We need that full month to be able to like really report on this. And so since we're already kind of into June, we won't have it for July, but then we'll have it in August. So can keep building these out, and even if we don't get Data Studio and we don't get this into the monthly metrics, I think this is really useful for us to measure our success, and specifically the keyword research you're doing, and being able to validate that, hey, this strategy is working. So let's keep this up.
Yeah, I think a good useful thing as well is you could have an overview of the specific key terms that we're targeting. So instead of looking at CI, we're actually looking at all the ranking within CI itself. But also from the tagging system, it means when we do campaigns, we just tag the term. We could already have content within a campaign, so we can actually just tag the pre-existing content and add the new keywords, and that will be existing, and we can do a drill down within the overall CI campaign itself as well, which I think could be fairly useful.
Great. Awesome. Well, Niall, thank you. I'm going to, we'll go ahead and pause the recording here, and we'll finish up our call, and